This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Montez is back featuring Duane Durham. She Don't Love Me is the new video. They're from Reedsville, North Carolina. Song available on all platforms.
What I look like getting hooked on a city girl. Gold digger, I know nigga.
This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Let's get right into the news. Okay, so first off, we'll get to that in a second. We got the Migos with an update. I guess they worked everything out with QC. Very good to see that Pierre, who's the head of QC, and Coach K were able to sit down with the lawyers and able to fix everything. I mean, these guys started something very big. Lil Baby seems the priority now, and of course, all artists are emotional, okay? Lil Baby does seem like the priority. That could have had a play in it. Also, they started looking into money and stuff, and the lawyer tipped them off to a few things that needed to get fixed. They called it out publicly, probably because they weren't getting priority when they were bringing it up through the label. I don't know exactly why they brought it public, but they did, okay? And anyways, it got worked out. That's all that matters. They were able to sit down as friends and able to work it out. He said, QC, the label money's still on the table. So they're making everything good. They're going to come out with a new album. Plus, they released that last Birkenback. What was it, Birkenback? That was not it, my G. So I think they rethought things maybe after that, too. I could be wrong, but that didn't really go off so well when they dropped that single. The NBA Youngboy one is good, but the other one was like trash. So it's like maybe they went back to the drawing board and said, you know what? We need label support. They do. I mean, they're not every artist is meant to be the label. Some artists are artists, and then they can do their business with their brand instead of handling their music business, you know, because like that, it's difficult. There's a lot of phone calls that got to be made and a lot of deals that have to be made to get, you know, playlisting, everything that has to get done. Music videos, here. It takes a lot of work. It doesn't just happen where you just overnight you're a success and you're everywhere and in everybody's face. It takes a lot of work with the label and the artists together to make something happen. There obviously, I don't care what they say, there was a lot of animosity towards Lil Baby being the priority at that label. And I know that had to have a lot to do with it because for so many years they were used to being the big dogs over there. The guys who co-signed everybody, they even helped co-sign. Am I saying the baby? I meant Lil Baby. I'm sorry. Lil Baby. They co-signed Lil Baby, and he's the priority now because he's winning. It's a cycle, you know. Also, Young Thug helps co-sign Lil Baby, and he has no financial interest in it. So things just go in a cycle. I mean, Lil Yachty isn't that priority anymore. You know, he's still a priority, but he's not the top selling artist. You know, at one time, he was one of the top selling artists. Just things go in cycles. They all tried to drop solo projects last year, and it didn't work out so well. It was cool, but it wasn't like, you know, when the Migos drop a project. Their last project was cool, but it wasn't like, once you reach a pinnacle, not everything feels the same, you know? Like when they dropped Bad and Bougie, it felt like something real. Like that was a peak moment, and it's hard to keep that peak moment forever. People get used to you, and then they move on, and then they forget, and then they come back. That's just how it works. It's a cycle of business. Next up, we got Charlamagne and Joe Budden. Are they frenemies? And who is the enemy and who is the friend? That's the question. You don't know. Charlamagne and Joe Budden have had such an up and down relationship for all the years. You gotta wonder, did Charlamagne take a lot of digs at Joe Budden's career and really be more detrimental than positive along the way? I mean, going back from when Joe Budden had his problem with Meek Mill to even the Hollow the Dawn rap battle, Charlamagne was very critical of Joe Budden, saying that he was too emotional, that Meek, very critical of Joe Budden going at Meek Mill on the podcast, protecting his woman, very critical of Joe Budden making certain business moves with Complex. He said, Joe Budden's one to sabotage himself and leave and, make things not work. I mean, he's done that in the past with a lot of things. Charlamagne made examples, and you're not really painting your friend in the best light. Even during the Drake battle, when Joe Budden dropped like a whole album going at Drake, Charlamagne, after he got those bottles, he was very much on Drake's side, So even and then they'll go like a year or two without speaking, then they'll be cool again, and Charlamagne will show up on Joe Budden's podcast, or they'll do the pull-up year thing together. I guarantee you they're going to be cool again anyways, okay? Joe Budden just left Spotify. Charlamagne was very critical of that. Like, you probably asking for too much. You don't know how to negotiate your worth. But just before then, he was saying you're doing deals with the wrong businesses, He should applaud Joe for leaving Spotify knowing his worth. And I have a feeling that Joe Budden eventually will end up on Charlamagne's podcast network, being able to retain his ownership of Joe Budden podcast, but be a part of a growing platform that Charlamagne obviously has a lot of support from, like Pepsi, iHeart. It's a great system to be a part of, but you're really just part of a network that will probably eventually get sold to one of the bigger conglomerates, and you could get a piece of the pie. Joe Budden creating his own network, I don't know if he's going to be able to handle that, because if he was going to do that, he probably would have done it 2 years ago when he left Complex. And around this time, Andrew Schultz, who does a podcast with Charlamagne, he bought a whole building or a warehouse, split it into podcast studios, invested all his money into that, and made content. And he has a nice business going right now. He has his own network going. I feel like Joe Budden would have already done that. It's hard to get people to get on your team too. So I'm not like shading Joe Budden. I think it's extremely difficult to get like minds together. Andrew Schultz it's in a comedy community too. The comedy community and the music community is totally different. There's a lot of ego, even more so than the comedy community. And the problem is with entertainment on this side, on the music side, you could teach somebody something and then they'll stab you in the back immediately and try to make their move and go against you. And that's really disheartening when that happens time and time and time again. But anyways, Joe Budden is trying to start his own network. I saw him put out some video trying to be funny today. It was all right, but I look forward to seeing the girl podcast he put together. He gathered some girls to do a girl podcast. We'll see how that is. It's probably like, what's that other podcast on Barstool? Girl Next Door. He's gonna probably have Rory and Mal try to do a podcast. Well, I don't think that's gonna be. I don't really want to. I don't like hearing Rory and Mal without Joe Budden for some reason. They've tried to do that before. Even though I like Rory and Mal, I mean, I don't have anything against them. I don't even know them, but they're good with Joe Budden to play off of it. All three of them together are really good. Joe Budden probably will bring, what's that other show he has? He has Pull Up. That'll be part of his network. What's the other show he has on Revolt? That's a copy of Everyday Struggle, pretty much. That show will probably become a podcast. I don't see that succeeding on Revolt. It's not really. It ain't it, but it ain't it. You can't have three shows doing the same stuff, and pretty much they're all doing the same stuff with the same personalities. People watch different shows because of different personalities. I don't feel like the others offer as much as, the Joe Budden podcast offers, And the pull-up is just him a one-on-one with an artist. So that's always interesting, you know, to see what he pulls from an artist being an artist. Well, we'll see how the Joe Budden network or whatever it's called goes. And the Charlamagne's network's going to probably be successful. He already has Drink Champ signed up and a couple other people. So we'll see. And Charlamagne already has the Breakfast Club signed up. I think he's leaving the Breakfast Club as far as radio goes, but they'll still be on the podcast. We will see how that goes. Anyways, I will check you guys in the next one. This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Smash that like button on your way out. Now we'll check you guys on the next one.
Montez is back, featuring Duane Durham. She Don't Love Me is the new video. They're from Reidsville, North Carolina. Song available on all platforms.
What I look like getting hooked on a city girl. Gold digger, I know niggas.
Links in description below.
She kick rocks and